Hey guys, great to see you everyone. Now it's a new style. Mustaches is in November. If you guys know what's the November challenge, is the move of November. It's the months when we raise awareness for men's mental health. That's my opportunity to share it. But today we have a powerful session. I will gonna test the sound now. Just previous times we have had some problems with some sound. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how the sound goes. Drop a chat, anything, any comments. If it's all good, I actually need to sneeze. Whew. Sorry. Okay, I'm straight in from a business event, and that business event was actually where I spent the 2 days, but not about the business event itself. But life throws us challenges, but how we show up here is how we show up everywhere. And so today is really powerful session. Let me now quickly share the screen. It will gonna be on a different screen. This is gonna be much better because I'm here. Boom. Yes. Let's see how it goes. All right. So this is today's topic, and I think it is very powerful, and it's very meaningful because well, we as guys, we go through life, we hit challenge, and then it's all about how we bounce back. And I'm not gonna share a story of someone else. I'm gonna say this is me, this is my life, and this is what I have went through. Encouragement, especially in this month of mental health, where we can speak up and talk about challenges that we are actually going through. No longer because we're complaining, no longer because we're blaming, but because simply we can say, this is where I've been, this is where I am now. It is possible also for you to go through this transformation. That's me. On the left hand side, you can see that's me before pictures. That was actually a video that I was recording for work. And then that's me on right hand side after 42 days. And you're gonna say, like, wow man, that's a crazy transformation. But how can you also do it? I'm no one special, and I wasn't taught any special tools and techniques. But you see, when you are going through difficult times, you're starting to look for the opportunities. And when you look for opportunities, you can find them. Okay, so let's start with house rules first. So I don't want just to should. You should, they should, we should. I want to speak from experience. And you know what? How people say, like, they gather together and there's like, oh, we should be doing this, you should be doing that. You know what? You can should all over the place and nothing gets done. But if we get real and we say, look, this is what I should do, this is what I went through, and this is how I came about, then now all of it, this can be a testimonies to other people and encourage and give them an opportunity to learn. Okay. So there are three pillars of progress where men get stuck and how to break through. So are you ready for it? Are you ready for it? 100%. If you're here, you're ready. If you're watching the replay, then that also means that you are looking for ways to get out of the stuckness wherever you find yourself. Okay, so just how many men feel stuck despite taking action? So you may be doing and moving and like trying yourself and then feeling like nothing is really moving forward. And so they are those three pillars. And so we will identify which of the missing parts you are experiencing and then to work on. So if you feel frustrated, anything or unsure about what's next, so this session is designed to give you clarity and give you encouragement and proven paths to move forward. That's the whole point of it. That's the whole point of us to come together, because if all we do we just complain, point fingers, then guess what happens? We get powerless. But when we take responsibility, now we are empowered. So that sometimes means taking responsibility for what's wrong and maybe what we were not responsible for, or maybe what we didn't cause. Maybe something happened that wasn't our fault, but we take responsibility for fixing. Because if you blame and point fingers, guess what happens? We get powerless. But if you say that wasn't my fault, but I will gonna fix it, now all of a sudden we are empowered. So here are the three things. So first is belief. Your mindset is 100% everything. It may sound like everyone just talking about the beliefs and the beliefs and the beliefs. But see, the thing is, if you believe it is not possible, it is not possible. If you believe it is possible, then it becomes possible. And so look back on any given moment in your life when there was something really that you wanted. And I remember how that was like when I was young, I was just finished the school and I wanted BMW. Okay. And so look, I so much wanted the BMW. I'd never had the money for it, but I was saving, I was working towards, I was doing everything that's needed to get it because at that time with my girlfriend, I said, this is the car that I'm gonna have. There was clarity. I was confident, and this I know was possible. And if you know what's possible for you is what you do. And most of the times it's not a problem of knowledge. So for example, if a person knows how to lose weight, okay, you move more, eat less. Simple. But people don't lose weight. Now all of a sudden you may ask, so what's wrong? Why? And so think about yourself. If you know how you can improve your financial situation, if you know how you can lose weight, if you know how you can act or you should or what you should do, but you're not doing. So what's stopping you is you are coming up with the ideas, but then you yourself, you're talking yourself out of it. Okay. So your mind is the foundation. So stories you tell yourself is what's possible is either propels you forward or holds you back. So these are the limiting beliefs that we have, and fear, self-doubt, or often some kind of a barriers that stops us. But we never come with those beliefs. We learn them along the way, and we learn them along the way from experiences. But see, those experiences used to protect us, used to help us, but now no longer. And that's why we feel like we are taking the steps, moving, like doing the action, doing like the hard work, but we don't see any change. So yeah. So if you change your internal narrative, that's the number first. Okay. Then everything else starts moving forward. The second, what's the second? Is the map and the strategy. So that's I'm where I'm finding myself. Okay. So I know it's possible. I know I can do more, but I just don't know what to do. And so this has been my downfall, and especially in my business, where I just work and work and work and work and work until a point I burn out, until a point I'm exhausted. Because see, the thing is, yes, uh, just doing something, we're gonna get you somewhere, but you were gonna be wandering around. And just like in a sat nav, if you were gonna put in a sat nav the destination, it will gonna show you how to go there. But if you're gonna say, well, I'm gonna go out from home and I just want to get to a place which I cannot call and I don't have even a destination where I'm going to, like there's 99.99% chances that you're not gonna get there. So the most important thing is to set clear goals. So first of all, where you are and being realistic. This is where I am, and then next thing is where I want to go, and then what's between is that's the gap, and then the question is why you are not there where you want to be. Yeah. So motivation can so sometimes we can feel stuck, okay, without a clear proven roadmap. But when we know what to do, when there is clarity, then all of a sudden we now start to feel more excited. Okay. So guesswork and random actions, we're going to just waste our time and leave us frustrated. So step by step plan tailored to your goals gives direction, focus, and confidence, ensuring your actions create meaningful results. And that's where you want to be. So what is the number three? So that, remember I said there were going to be three-step formula. And so the number three is action. If you have the knowledge, if you have the belief, but you don't take those necessary steps, let's say, I know how to lose weight, I believe that this is working, and I know that it has delivered results for other people, but I'm not doing it, it won't going to get you anywhere. And the same when we talked about the map. If I'm going to put the right direction in the Google Maps, let's say I want to go to Oxford Circus here in London, and I'm not going to get into the train, I'm not going to get there. Even though I know 100% that the train will going to get me to the Oxford Circus, even though clearly I know that I'm home and where I want to go, but I'm not taking action because it feels so much more comfortable to to be at home, especially now when it's cold outside. So that's why that action is very closely tied to what we believe. And so if we believe cold is bad, or if I believe stress is bad, then I try to avoid all of the stressful situations or the cold, whatever feels uncomfortable. But if I know that stress actually is good, and stress that is manageable and tolerable is what you can accept, is actually that driver that's needed for you to propel you forward, that moves you forward. Because remember, when you feel stressed, what do? You run, you move, you cannot stay still. All of a sudden you have the fuel. But when you are just after the meal in a warm, it's like, and now you need to go and do something. Well, who is more likely to do? Someone who is stressed out, or maybe they are like fearful, because fear is a driver, or someone who is just feeling very comfortable. Okay, so remember, not everything that is bad is bad. It may uncomfortable, but it may be necessary for you to actually take those steps. And most likely, you have already noticed yourself in life, when you hit some kind of a challenges, there's two options: to give up, or then to decide, this is actually why I'm going to do the transformation. So the three steps is, what are those three steps? The first one is the mind, the belief. Okay. The second one is the map. We actually need to know where we want to go and where we are, and what's the road, okay, that we need to take. And the third one is taking action. Okay. So here's my story. Like I said, I'm not saying you should be doing something. I'm actually saying this is my story. This is what I have done, and in the hope that this is going to help you. This is me. This is in 2021. Sorry about the picture. I just took it from YouTube. I actually did like a video about how I got the panic attack and everything. And you can see like on my face, I'm not in a good place. You can see I have belly and a little bit kind of shoulders down. And actually, I'm doing a presentation for my work. And so I just did a video. You may look up for it later on in my profile and then see the full story. But here, I want to tell you the journey. How I went from this guy who lost drive, lost motivation, is has been dumped by his girlfriend, business is not working, drinking every evening, and completely zero motivation. You can say depressed. I don't use the word. I just say like I lost motivation. I don't really know whether I was depressed, but I would just say like I had zero drive. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to get away from everything. But I did something, and we're going to come back to it. What made that transition? And so whatever I did here is what led me to the results. And you can see those 42 days. And later on, that led to my proposal that I shared in a previous live that we did last year. That later led me to the wedding, and now to the successful business growth. In this year, we're going to be actually doing a new record. So I'm not saying this to brag, but I'm actually saying this. You can get from here to here. It is possible. I have done it, and I'm going to show you how. Okay. But first, we have to identify why men get stuck. Okay. So, you're taking action, showing up, and you're feeling like you're not progressing. So, it's real. It's rarely due to lack of effort. Yeah. But what is the missing pieces? So, can you guess? Okay, I'm not gonna torture you. Okay, so first, usually a missing piece is direction. Most of the times, when we talk, especially now about this man's mental health, uh, especially in November, this 60 kilometers run that we do combine in this month, or 60 kilometers walk, that represents one man that does suicide every single minute. And most of the times in those letters, the words are, there is no meaning, I lost the purpose, there is no clear direction. Okay. And so if you identify yourself, I was just sharing before those images, not to brag, but to say I was there, where I had no mission, no purpose, no drive, and I was thinking, what's the point of all of it? And especially what hit me hard was actually the relationship breakup, because I do believe nothing can hit the guys harder than going through a tough breakup. Okay, that's one. And number two is accountability. That's why I started to do these men's groups, because first of all, if we know what we need to do but we are not doing it, it is so much more easier to move forward when we're in a group. And that's why I started to do these men's groups, because I needed to find the guidance. I needed to find like-minded people around me, because I needed someone to keep me accountable to move forward. Because by myself, I didn't want to do it. And we will always do more for others than we're going to do for ourselves. Just think about it. I'll give you an example. If you have to go for a date night, you're going to cut your hair, you're going to have all that perfume, you're going to buy a new t-shirt, maybe you're going to wash your socks that you haven't washed. I'm not saying that's you. I'm just joking, okay? Whatever, because you want to impress the other person. If it that would just be for you, you're gonna, I don't care. Okay. So all of a sudden that means because of other people, whether what they were gonna think, how they're gonna perceive us, how we want to be seen by them, that we're gonna then determine how much we're gonna do. And especially if it's family, if it's kids, how much more you're gonna be doing for them than just for yourself. Yeah, I was actually just talking to my brother. My brother said, "Oh, I would be happy to live with other guys in the same house for wherever they were living," and he was happy. But of course, when wife comes, need a bigger house, need a bigger place, all of a sudden, and now you now doing more, and now you're stretched to actually look for those opportunities, look for different ways. And guess what happens is when you start looking for it, when you have enough stimulus, that is that stress, which is actually healthy, that then gives you the drive forward. So not stress is by itself is not bad, but what's bad is thinking that stress is bad. Because if you know that stress is something that pushes you forward and moves you forward, now all of a sudden it's like, where do I go? You have clear direction, you have accountability, you have people around you that keeps you accountable. That's how you get forward, and you need to have that emotional fuel. And emotional fuel is that emotion, and the emotion can be stress. It can be negative. I remember when I was going to the gym, I was like punishing myself in the gym, but better than going and drinking myself, until my head falls off. Yeah, at least at the end of the day, I didn't have the hangover. I had bigger biceps. I don't know, bigger muscles. But at least you feel better, feel more confident. And a while before, but at this moment, like I was showing the pictures before, 2021, I was actually drinking every evening. Okay, and the next one is the clear path forward. Okay, when you know that clear path forward, when you ability, when you know your direction, then it's easy to move forward. Okay, so let's go. Many men know they are capable of more, but they need guidance to bridge that gap from where they are to where they want to be. And like I said at the beginning, you need to identify this is where I am, and you need to be honest. Remember, if you cannot be honest with your circumstances, and usually what we tend to do, we wanna, yeah, but I'm trying, I'm okay. So how are you? I'm okay. Okay, so if you're okay, then just enjoy your life. But if you're okay, but actually not okay, then the truth is I'm not okay because my relationship's suffering, because my finances are suffering. Now all of a sudden, okay, this is the truth, and you don't need to say yes, but I'm doing it, and this and they and government and mom. It's like that's it. Stop. This is the problem. Identify clearly. Okay, lack of time, frustration, anger. This is where I want to be. Okay, that's where you start moving forward. Okay. And in that moment, when I identified where I was, I made the decision in 2021. I made a decision, I made a choice. And that's what caused that change in myself that you see in the 42 days. I said, no more. That's it. I'm going to grow. I'm going to get better. Because me just drinking every single evening, complaining and whining and pointing fingers, nothing will gonna get better. So that moment, I decided I'm gonna get better. So, well, in that particular case, I started running. That's when I started running. I started to look after my food. I stopped the alcohol. I picked up the challenges, and as you can hear, as I will going to show in the next slide. Okay, from that moment, everything changed. I committed to challenges, training, coaching, and building myself from inside out. And look, this is the challenge. I committed to 365-day push-up challenge, and that push-up challenge literally represented me pushing up every single day. The chicken sound, how the sound is going? Good. Okay, every single day, and I did that. Can you believe that? That's November. That's December. Then we have the January. Okay, you don't see that, but I did that for the whole year, every single day, 365 days, and every single day I was adding one push-up more. And once you have emotional drive inside and you direct it in that right direction, for me was to focus on what's good and what's honorable, building and rebuilding. All of a sudden I was able to lose weight. All of a sudden I was able to use the stress that I could say it's bad is actually for doing something was good. And then with the time I build up the momentum. Then the more I seen the results, the better it went again in my business as well. Then the business started to grow, and then it's basically eventually the ripple effect. Yeah. So it is possible, but you need to have something that's driving you forward. And that's why I said even the negative emotions is not bad. The negative emotions is actually the fuel that fuels you. And sometimes they are the biggest driver. Yeah. Let's see. I think we are back. I did different challenges. 1 year challenge on push-ups. Then I did like 10K walking a week. Then I did like no alcohol, like a alcohol-free, like what was like a month or two, no sugars, and all that kind of things. So I picked up different challenges. Did not full Ironman. Actually, it's a mistake. It's a half Ironman. What I did, and then overcame my limiting beliefs along the way. Okay, and then ultimately, whilst I was on the journey, you see what was happening. There was a transformation happening in my thinking. There was transformation happening in my body. Is when I actually showed up myself, and what how you show up here is how you show up everywhere. I was showing up in my life differently. If I was just going to be sitting in one place and complaining and blaming and drinking, I would show up as weaker than before, and every single day would going to be worse than the day before. Okay, and that's not motivating because there is no future. And then what happened is I took responsibility. I took responsibility even for things I was feeling like wasn't fair. I saw the guidance and aligned my beliefs. And till this day, I'm still looking for answers. I'm still looking for ways to move forward. And not answers in the past, but kind of answers like, okay, how I can elevate and take this to the next step. Okay, so this is where I started to do coaching with Tony Robbins, assigned for 1 year's coaching program. But it's not about what I did or how I do, or you should be taking the specific steps, but saying that it's possible, and this is the route that I took. And maybe you find it in a different way. Maybe from this you have now different insights, and you say, look, actually, let me try something. Maybe you are inspired actually to use whatever you are experiencing in the moment, or whatever is the challenge you have now, to actually move you forward. And that's it. That's all it takes. And then you were going to find your path. Okay, but I want you to have some takeaways. I don't want you just to leave with any information. Okay, so first of all, progress solves when one of your pillars is missing. What were those three? Who can remember? First is the belief. First, if you don't believe it's possible, you will not do what's necessary. Second of all, you need to know what to do. And therefore, whether you read a book, ask a friend who has experienced it, that's why I'm sharing actually this as well. So this can be actually somebody's map of how to overcome those breakup experiences, bad experiences, how to use that situation where you are actually to turn your life around. I'm an example. Okay. The next one is identifying which pillar is weak in your life. Okay. And it's simple to identify which pillar is weak in your life but it's hard to read the label from within the bottle. And sometimes all you need to do is just ask a feedback, and then ask the feedback to your friends, because you can identify what your weak pillar is by looking at it from the side. So that's why, just have an insight, just be open minded, and then just ask a question. If you would give me advice, but you don't have to listen to everyone. Remember, you only have to listen from those people who are there where you want to be. Yeah, because if you're going to ask an advice from those people who are close to you just because they are close to you, you may get the wrong advice. For example, if I was going to be underwater and I would be swimming, and of course I was going to be breathing the air that I have in my tank. But when I'm running out of the air, I'm looking at my watch, and now all of a sudden I'm thinking, okay, maybe I need to ask the fishes, but how do you like swim here? And the fish says, well, you just breathe the water. So I take it out, breathe the water, and I die. Okay. So remember, what's good for the fish is not good for you, and what's good for you is not good for the fish. So those advices from the wrong people may be bad for other people. Well, the fish wasn't giving a bad advice. The fish was giving the best advice that they know, but it wasn't the advice that was needed for you or that's fit for you. So first of all, you need to identify where you are in life, who you are, what you're about. Find someone who is there already and ask them the question. Simple. Okay. And then growth requires both internal changes and external actions. So if you don't have the actions and if you don't believe in it, then things are not going to happen. And likewise. But if I were going to ask, what's missing in this example? Okay. And then you give an answer. A person is going to a seminar, and he's going to a seminar, and he studies, he reads a book, he talks to people and friends, but he don't see anything changing in his life. Like, can you guess what's the missing part? Well, clearly, he shows an interest and he believes that there is a solution. That's why he's looking for it. Okay. He now knows and he has the wisdom because he's constantly finding for it. And when you look for it, you're going to find the answers. So what's stopping? What's what's missing that? And it's action. He's not taking action. He just keeps learning, and that's entertainment. He's actually not applying because it's harder. If learning would gonna give you the results, if education would gonna give you money, if education would be all that you need to be financially successful, then guess who's gonna be the richest people? Is the teachers at school. But the question is, are teachers at school the richest people, or they're usually the ones who are complaining the government does something bad, they're not looking after them, and so on? No, it's not the people who know, it's people who apply it and who get the results. Okay, so even if you have less knowledge, more action, you're going to have more results than the person who has more knowledge, because the only thing is what you can do now is the knowledge you just teach other people, but that doesn't mean it's going to lead you to your personal results in your life. Okay, hopefully someone else can then take your knowledge, like this is my hope, that from my experience I can share what I have done, and you'll take the knowledge and you'll apply for it. Otherwise it was just a fun, entertaining coaching session with me. And anyway, so at least you had interesting evening. But these three are the most important takeaway from the session. Okay, but you don't have to figure it all alone. Alone. So guidance and mentors and accountability accelerates the result. So I don't discredit whether it's your teacher, is your pastor, or the book that you're reading, or the coach or mentor. If you know someone who has went through it and he's on the other side, then that's the person that you need to speak to. Okay, that I did exactly the same. Look, this is me. I'm going on this training coaching session about the inner world mastery. But an inner world mastery is basically identifying what is blocking you from taking those steps. Because sorry, if you know that there is more in life, if you know the steps that you need to take, but you just don't understand why you're not moving forward, there's something that's blocking you. And then you need to find someone, and I'm actually just saying what I did myself. You need to find someone who then gives an insight from a side, and he then looks at you and he says, "Hey, man, well, what's that? What you do?" That's why you need to have the insight. That's why you need to have the insight from other people. Hey, Arthur. Yeah, man. Happy to hear that you love it. And look, I am not saying anything that you should be doing that I haven't done. Okay. But I went to other training sessions, and look, there's two type of people. Like this is me in all these sessions, looking for the answers, looking for what's stopping me, looking for those breakthroughs. Okay. And so 98% are drifters, and I am just trying to find like the way, the path, you know. And then there is only two people who are driven, and then now the question is like, which are you? And I believe that you guys here, you are those 2%ers. You are those 2%ers. It's like very few people who are actually joining here. I'm not doing this to get a million views. I'm not doing this to get million views. Like, probably like a few views are going to be for this video, and that's fine. That's okay. I'm doing it because it's my passion project, and I want to share what I have learned, because I do believe that that is my mission. That's my purpose. So usually when you go through challenges is where you then now start to learn, and along the way you learn, you find mentors, you find coaches, you find people who can share you what they've been through, and they will gonna accelerate your growth. Because people who are moving forward in life, they don't do it because they have everything, but usually there's something missing. And in my case, in my life, it's been guidance. I grow up without that. It's been that support, it's been that encouragement, and I'm looking for it. And now I'm going in all these places and now learning from all those people who I say they are somewhere where I want to be. Okay, because my mom cannot teach me this, my dad cannot teach me this. Okay, but where can I learn it? And then I want to apply. So real transformation isn't about temporary motivation. It's about sustainable systems and habits. And just today, look at this. This is me. Actually, just 2 days. Waking up at 7 o'clock in the morning, all day in exhibition, 160, 126 people yesterday at the stand. Today was another, it's like 250 people at the stand. I'm just exhausted. Like today, I'm exhausted. All I would like to do is just go to sleep. But because I said I'm going to be doing this live, YouTube live, on this date at this time, I'm showing up, and whatever I need to do, if I need to drink water, if I need to go for a run, I need to shake, if I need to jump, I just need to show up here because this is what I said I was going to do. And there's nothing more important for man to keep his word, because when you keep your word, you build the trust in yourself, and that's that confidence that you need. Okay. So life gets in your way. There may be obstacles, situations, but the most important thing is how you showed up and did you do the best you can. Okay. So success leaves clues. And here I wanted to highlight this. Whenever you talk to someone, just think about it. If they are showing up like confident or kind of a little bit weak, if, for example, they are showing up knowledgeable or they try to look for answers, if they are showing up excited or they just maybe say, oh, this is what I have to do. Or maybe you have that colleague who is always kind of, yes, okay, okay, okay. Now, how how much likely you are to work with that person and give them an opportunity? Okay. And if that has been you at some moment, and that was definitely me in 2021, like opportunities wasn't coming away. But when I changed the way I was showing up, okay, that's why I took all the challenges and push challenges and move and run and so on. I now started to change how I show up. Now all of a sudden I started to attract different opportunities. That's why also I attracted the relationships that I have. Because look, my wife, she likes running, she likes CrossFit, she likes all these activities, and I like that. Yeah. But if I show up as discouraged, then look, are gonna attract similar situations, and the opportunities were not gonna come my way. And then the next thing is, what stories do I say? And like probably maybe everyone has that grandma, grandpa who's always complaining. How is their life going? How is their life going? If, like, nothing is happening and nothing will happen. Okay. But then what is the story? So, for example, if I'm going to say, okay, what are we celebrating? I usually do on a men's coaching group. It's like, what are we celebrating? Okay. And then it's, oh, I have nothing to celebrate. Okay. So that's we are telling ourselves. But if I say, okay, today was the first day of snow. Well, oh man, this is great. Okay. Maybe it can be like, yes, I'm tired. 260 people came at our stand. There'll be new business opportunities. 260 conversations that we had, 260 emails that we have from this conference that I had. Yes, I'm exhausted. Yes, we spend money on it, but yes, there's opportunities. Am I excited? Yes. Am I tired? Yes. Okay. So what's the story? So now just challenging yourself. If I say, what's one thing that's working in this week in your life? Okay, it's Thursday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. What's the one thing that was working? It can be small and it can be big. It's that relationships, it's that conversations, it's that thing that you learn. And when you now start stacking up those success stories, and there's a study that shows that if you repeat a story of your success in past, your testosterone levels rise up. If you repeat a story in your mind of a story where you failed, your testosterone levels go down. So just repeating the same story where you failed, what's not working, how it will not going to work, okay, it already reduces your testosterone levels. And that automatically reduces your confidence, that affects your state, and it's just a like a rolling ball downwards, down the hill. Okay. And so, based on how you show up and what stories you say, is that strategy that you're gonna then come up with. Because if that story will be negative, then your strategy will be always how to do less. So I'm gonna come up with an idea. Let's go, guys! We have a new opportunity. Let's go for a men's social run. We're gonna get it together, everyone. We're gonna be like next week at Thursday, 8:45, a Black Fire Tube session. Let's go. I kind of run up, they may be too fast for me, look at me, and so on. See, the thing is, you can only get better when you actually start to get better. And the strategy maybe is like, okay, next week is a men's run, so I cannot run, let's say 5K. So how about now tomorrow I'm gonna go 2 kilometers run, and then day after I'm gonna go another 2 kilometers run, and then after I'm gonna go another 2 kilometers run, which is a quick, small, easy runs. You don't need to push it. And then by next Thursday, I'm going to be confident that I can do 5K. How about that? Now, it's a different strategy. But all of a sudden, things can transform. Okay. So strategy creates certainty. Certainty reignites a drive. That's it. That's all there is. Okay. And I wasn't joking. So next Thursday, we're going to have a group coaching call, and the week after we're going to have social run. So social run, we're going to be meeting in London Blackfriars tube station at 8:45. So that is the 4th of December 2025, and everyone can join. So 8:45, put out in your diaries, show up, bring a friend, easy run, social run, whatever fitness level you have. Okay. Then further on, we're gonna have another group coaching call, and then another YouTube live in 16th and 18th of December, just before we break up for this Christmas break. Okay, and then we have an activity. I just don't want us to have some talks, but I actually want to have some real transformation. So first, identify one biggest problem you have right now. It can be anything, whatever it is. I'm tired. I don't have money. I don't have relationships. My health is bad. My work is bad. I hate what I'm doing. I don't know. I don't have a purpose. Anything. Just like if it's negative, just be negative, just for a time. Okay. One area, and just like be brutally honest with yourself. Okay, that's activity for yourself to actually get better. Okay, and then next. Now, the problem solving questions that you can ask. This one problem that you have in your life. What can I learn from this? And just answer. So I don't want you just to say, okay, yeah, that's a question. But I actually want to encourage you to think about it. What can you learn from this problem? Maybe you can learn that this is actually the area where you should be improving. Maybe this is actually the area which is my weak part. It's not bad. It's just showing where you need to improve. Maybe that's that one area where you understood that you lack the knowledge. And maybe you need to learn more about it. Maybe it's finances. Maybe you just don't know how to organize the finances. I'm not saying it's you. I'm saying maybe you help you out. Okay. Now, what's great about it? So, what's great about this problem? And you say, well, like, how can the problem be great? Okay. For example, I don't have time. Okay. That's a common issue for everyone. Okay. Great about this, I can understand now that I'm bad at my time management. Now I understand. It's not that I don't have time. Now I know it's great. Now I identify. I'm not good at time management. This is my weak area. Okay. Great about this is that I now can focus more on the things that are important for me, that are the high value tasks that give the results. Okay. Without that, you would not have this opportunity. Okay. And what's not perfect yet? What's not perfect yet? And I give you the same scenario. Maybe that's the time where you say, I'm not perfect in managing my finances or my time, but I'm working on it. I'm actually here now, today. Like you are here because you're learning something. You are here because you're looking for those answers. And yes, it's not perfect, but at least I'm doing something. Okay? At least you are here. Because remember, 85%, 98% is drifters. Only 2% of people. And yes, you may be in the 2% and you're just starting. Amazing. Well done. Okay? The next one, what am I willing to do to make it the way I want? Like, it's great to know the knowledge, it's great to identify the areas, but what I'm willing to do to make it my way. And maybe it's not creating more to do lists, maybe it's to create a list of what not to do. Maybe that's I will going to create what not to do a list. Because the focus is basically what takes away our time. Because if we are focusing everywhere, then we say we have no time because we don't get any results. But if we're focusing less on scrolling, less on distractions, less on noise, but more on the high value tasks, more on something that drives us forward, all of a sudden we have time. So what I'm willing to do, maybe that's creating not to do list. What I'm willing to stop do. Okay, this is exactly what I'm willing to stop doing. And like for example, for me to show up here in these men's groups every single Thursday, maybe I'm willing to stop going social events on Thursdays because there is no such thing as something for nothing. There is no such thing as something for nothing, but you just have to know what is the cost. And actually, like there was the question in one of the training sessions I was speaking. There was this guy who spoke with what was this from a Diary of CEO? What was the guy? What was the guy from Diary of CEO? Can you put it in the chat? Diary of CEO. What was the guy? Anyway, so you know the guy from the podcast Diary of CEO Diary, yeah. And he was asked a question like, "What is a success? The one thing that made your podcast successful, and why so many people don't succeed?" And he said this: "The cost of success is embarrassment, and people are not willing to pay the price. That's it. That's it. Yeah, Stephen Butler, exactly. Yeah. And he was the one who said, because look, putting yourself out there, let's say me here, I can make myself fool. I can do something, I don't know, stupid because I'm not professional. I don't know what I'm doing. Yes, it's not perfect yet, but I'm doing it. Judge me if you want. If that makes it easier for you, I may look like a fool, but so what? That's okay. I think that's fine with me. I'm a piece with that. Okay. And then the next thing is how can I enjoy the process? How can I enjoy the process? Okay. Identify the problem, answer the questions, write down the questions, take a screenshot if you want, and hope you had some good answers for yourself. And then the next one is questions that create success. I just don't want you to leave with problems. I want to actually create a momentum. Okay. Did you give or are you giving full effort to achieve the opposite or the result? And just be honest. Like, yes, you did it. No, I'm not doing it. Okay. The next, how can I give my full effort? How? What needs to happen? How can you do that? Instead of focusing how not, what not, why not, but how can you, why will you to fix that one problem? At the end of the day, it's down to you. You may decide I'm going to do something about it, and you may decide I'm not going to do something about it. It's they who need to do something about it, and if they don't do it, guess what happens? Nothing happens. So you get stuck. Okay, but that's not us. We take responsibility, even the fault wasn't us, because that affects us. So we want to get better. And I give you a story. So there was a tenant living in one of like the landlord's properties, and he didn't really like the state of the property, and I think there was like some mold or something, and he was so complaining about this mold, and like it wasn't a big thing, it's just a small thing. Okay. And he was like so focused about landlord should be doing it and the landlord is not doing it. Of course the landlord's responsible to look after the property, but guess what's happening? If he was living in a property, he can just have a bleach spray, put it on the wall. If he wants, he can then repaint the wall if the landlord allows. And if you're going to say to the landlord, look, I'm going to improve your property, will the landlord say no? If he doesn't want to do anything himself and you're going to say, I'm going to make your property better, of course he's going to say yes. But you know what he said? He said, I don't want to invest in this property anything. But I'm like, but you are the one who is reaping the benefits. Yes, it may not be you who is responsible for that, but if you take responsibility for it, you will then reap the benefits. The same thing here. Maybe you're living in a flat where maybe something is not okay, or maybe the landlord is not doing something, or maybe the boiler is broken, but you are sitting in a cold flat, not the landlord, and you may be complaining and blaming. But if you now say, look, I'm going to do something about it, whether I'm going to call the boiler man, fix the boiler, and then I'm going to chase the landlord. And if he doesn't pay the money, well, what's the worst case scenario? I lost a few hundred pounds, but at least I am in a warm house and I'm not catching cold because I can go to work. And in 1 day or 2 days, I get back the 200 pounds. Okay. So what's the worst case scenario? So strongly encouraged to do that, because just think about it. This is you who's reaping the fruits. Okay. And then did I learn? Am I learning something? Okay. So what did you learn? And are you learning something from this problem? Then the next one, just time conscious. We have a little bit time left. How can I begin to learn something new? Like, how can you learn something new from this? Because the challenges that you have in life is actually there for you, and no one else is going through them except you. Well, they have, of course, the same challenge as different people, but it doesn't really matter because you are the one who is going through it. And it's you who are learning from that, and it is you who are becoming that brand new version of yourself. And that's why there are those situations that we go through. Okay. And if we keep going through the same struggles and we are not learning, then that's a tragic way. Because remember, there's three ways. Three ways. How many? Three. Okay. Easy way is to learn from others. That's what we're doing here. Okay. I hope that you're learning. The second one is to learn from your own mistakes, and that's that effort. That's that grinding and pushing and doing and taking and like not having the map. Okay, and then constantly just like having the failure, adjusting, having the failure, adjusting. Okay, and that's the hard way. But the third way is the tragic way, and that's no learning. So you end up in struggle. Maybe somehow you get out of a struggle, and then you end up in the same struggle. That's like you know that there is a hole in the in road, but you don't identify where the hole is, but you keep rolling into the hole when you're driving the car, or you keep walking in and stumbling, not learning that you should be avoiding that road or maybe go around it. Okay, so you have to learn it. Okay, and then yeah, if I begin learning now, what will happen? So what would happen if you would be now learning? And not it's not a theoretical question. I want you to actually answer for yourself. If you learn how to improve your finances, what would happen? Let me give you few minutes just to answer these questions because I want you guys to think. So because I want you guys actually to go through it because it's serious. This is your life. And I do the same. So I learn myself. And so this is the same questions that I have answered for myself. And I want you to answer because I want you to reap the benefits. Okay. Hope everyone is doing good and everyone learned something from it. Yeah. As we are coming to a close, first of all, I hope that this is inspiring and it actually shows you something. And I'm not saying that I have all the answers, but if something has stirred up in you and you actually have been challenged a little bit in some area to grow and to think and to learn something and to apply something, that's already a win. That's already a win. Okay. Okay. And this is the statement that I want you to repeat rather than being submerged in that problem and just thinking about how overwhelming it is and how hard it is, but just going like this. I get to grow in this area. This is my area of growth. And whenever it comes back into your mind, that story that you keep repeating, you say, this is my area of growth. I get to grow in this area. And repeat again to yourself, this is my area of growth. I get to grow in this area because the challenges that comes in your life is there for you to grow, and when you grow you have more to give, and when you have more to give then you feel better. And that's what I do. I actually am giving to you because that gives me purpose, it gives me meaning, and it makes me happier because I had to learn, and when I had to learn I had to grow, and now I have something to give. Yeah, and so that's how you actually raise your value. That's actually how you propel forward and get mission and drive and a purpose in life, because usually the biggest challenges in life, the biggest pains in your life is connected to your purpose. And you see something that's wrong, you see something that's not working, you need to identify the solution, you need to have the solution, then you can give and help other people with that solution. And that's how any business starts. If for example you had problems with cars, you learn how to fix the cars, now you can fix cars for other people, now you have a business. And other people say, I don't have time, okay, fix my car, here's the money, fix it. Fantastic, you had a problem with car, you now learn how to do it, now you have a garage, now you have a business. Okay, maybe you have financial problems, now you learn how to deal with finance, how to structure finances, how to do it, now all of a sudden you can become a financial planner for other people. Maybe there was a tax problems, now you became an accountant, now you help people to save on taxes. Whatever is the situation, that's your area of growth. That is given to you so you can finally do something about it, move forward, and after then help other people. Okay? So this is actually why I started it myself, because I needed this. I started this men's group because I needed men around me. I needed the guidance. I needed the support. I needed the encouragement, and that's what I'm looking for. That's why I'm going on attending all these events, meetings, and so on, because I'm willing to take the steps. I'm willing to move forward. But for me, it's like, okay, where are those guys who are a few steps ahead, who are better in the business, who are better in relationships, who are better in this? And I can then ask those questions, and I'm doing the same thing, and I can ask like, but how are you doing it? And guess what? Then they tell their story, the same like I did now, whether they do it publicly or no. And great if you have an opportunity to actually meet people in real life and in the room, in person, rather than just online. But look, if that's your opportunity just to connect online, then here's an opportunity for you as well. So what's next? There is an opportunity. We do the men's social run. Come and join. It will be in 2 weeks' time on Thursday. Come and join. Everyone is welcome, all fitness levels, and then we're gonna adjust. Look, if everyone is kind of ready to do more, we may, extend the distance. If no, we're gonna do 5 kilometers. If we can see the gentleman on the left hand side running next to me, look, he wasn't like the fittest person, but he did 5 kilometers. Yes, we had to stop a little bit and maybe walk a little bit, but we just keep the pace together because it's a social run. Okay. Then the next one is the men's community. So that's where the real transformation happens. The same like in the gym. It's great that you attend the gym once, but what you do consistently is what you get out of it. Okay. So in this community, you're gonna be able to connect with other driven men, and that's what I want, and that's why I'm creating this men's group, to be connected and surrounded by the driven man. Live group coaching call. So next week on Thursday we do group coaching call. In this group, you can ask questions, you can share your wins and push each other to the higher standards, or maybe share some things that's happening in your life. Okay, so but this is not for everyone. I have to be honest. This is not for everyone. This is only for those who are really ready to do something about it. Because what I don't want people who I have to drag along. If I have to drag you along, like, look, you don't want to do it, I don't want to drag you. It's like it's best if you just like don't do it. Okay. But if you feel like, okay, look, I'm at the stage in my life where I was like, look, I'm tired of it. I want more. I need to be surrounded by other like-minded men. This is the place for you. So there is this community that I'm doing, and this is we do the group coaching calls. And but you have to understand there is no such thing as something for nothing. Yeah, real growth and success and fulfillment comes from you actually taking action and commitment. And if you're not really ready to take the commitment, then the best thing is maybe take a time later on whenever you're going to feel ready. But usually what I have noticed is you first take the action and then you become ready. So if that's you, you can scan this QR code, or you're going to be able to see this link as well, and join this men's group. Anyway, 20 pounds if you're drinking wine every evening, then that's just one bottle of wine, but this is a month. Okay. And so if you pay a gym membership, look, you train your body here, you get to train your mind. Okay. That's why I'm doing it. If that's you, join. If not, great. See you next month. I'm gonna do another live. It's free. You can join the social run. It's also for free, no commitment. But if you actually want to get something out of it, I encourage you, because, like I said, it's hard to read the label from the bottle within, and it is very important that you have that insight from people around you who can actually just like say, "Look, what's that you're doing, man? Why are you doing it?" And just ask those questions. And then all of a sudden it brings up something. And all of a sudden now there's a mirror. All of a sudden you can then learn. And if you are that person who is willing to take the next steps, not just only be surrounded with people, like there is an advantage already by being around the people. The advantage is this: if you surround yourself and just be in a proximity with the people who are more successful in life, you increase your chance by 25%. If you surround yourself with people who are obese, then you increase your likelihood to be obese by 25%. It works anyway. If you surround yourself with people who are fit, you have 25% more chance to be fit as well. If you surround yourself with people who have divorced in life, you have 25% to also be divorced in your life. It's just because, see, the thing is, if I am about fitness and you'll ask me a question, I'm just gonna advise what I'm eating and what I'm doing, and so you're gonna start then believing and focusing the same way. If I'm gonna be like going through some kind of negativity, or maybe feeling down, or maybe like going through a breakup, then I'm gonna say, what's the point? Just give up, go have fun, do these things, and then like families are just breaking up. Yeah, my goal in my family, one family for life. Let's go. It's a challenge. It's the hardest challenge ever. If you haven't done a year challenge, if you haven't done month challenge, like how are you going to be able to commit to something for a lifetime? But I do believe there is really growth happening in the commitment. Growth happening in the commitment to your business and your work, because it's not going to be easy. And I'm running my business for like what 8 9 years now. And but the best thing what I can say is I didn't give up when I wanted to give up, because the hardest thing is to start. And if you are just at the start moment, is that I encourage you to start earlier, because the one thing is common for any successful person is they started earlier, because it will gonna be a journey, it will gonna take time. Also, my wins in my life, they have taken time. And if I would start earlier, I was gonna be further down in my life. And the longer you prolong it, the longer it will gonna take you to get to the result. But whatever you are, that's your decision. It's your life. You're going to reap the fruits. But I hope that this was inspiring, encouraging, and I hope to see you in the men's social run in 2 weeks' time. See you guys. Peace out. We're off. Cheers. Where do I have the mouse?